Okay, folks, so let's get started today with simplifying fractions. When we simplify fractions, we need to decide what the numerator, that's the top of the fraction, has in common with the denominator. What can be divided into both of these fractions, both of these numbers, that is the same. Now, I'm hoping we noticed, or we practiced our multiplication tables enough to notice that both of these numbers have a 6. Right? So if we divide the top and the bottom by 6, we get 30 divided by 6, which is 5, divided by 54 divided by 6, which is 9. Looking at this next one, we hopefully recognize that both of these are a multiple of 3, meaning we can divide both the top and the bottom by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And our last problem, can divide by 6. Both of these can be divided by 6, giving us 5/6. Okay. Now, first announcement. Next week, our first class period will be just a review, an opportunity to review. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, you will have the whole day to complete the test, okay? So we need to make sure that we're preparing for next week's test. Now, late homework and quizzes. Quizzes will no longer be accepted late. Those of you turning in quizzes need to make sure you're doing them within the week given, okay? And homework and Delta Math will be counted at 75% if you turn them in late, okay? So far, I've been giving you 100%, but from now on, if you do it late, you're getting 75%. Okay. Simplify Fractions worksheet. This is going to be found on your Google Classroom. Please practice some of these before we move on. It'll make everything a little bit easier, okay? So a little review on slope. We talked about last week that slope, we read from left to right. So starting over here, going this way, we notice we're going uphill, which is positive. Starting on the left and going to the right, we go down. That's negative. This is a negative slope. This is a positive slope. And if it's horizontal, it's a 0 slope. And if it is vertical, it is undefined. So we practiced again some finding slopes using 2 points. I'm going to show another example. Here's our equation right here. When you are doing this, please decide which point is point 1 and which point is point 2. Okay, so point 1 and point 2. Now we know every point has an x and a y, an x and a y. So if this is point 1, this would be x1, and this is y1. If this is point 2, this is x2 and y2, okay? Now, plugging into this equation, m represents our slope. M equals y2, that's right here, negative 18 minus y1. y1 is negative 20. Notice I put the minus and then whatever value we see here, divided by x2, which is negative 6, minus, and then whatever value we have here is negative 1. Now, this can be simplified. Negative 18 plus 20, negative 18 plus 20, and we have negative 6 plus 1. We know they're addition signs because we have minus and negative. Negative 18 plus 20 is going to be positive 2.
Hannah Oliver.
We have positive 2 in the numerator. Negative 18 plus 20 is positive 2. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 5. Now, this is a great answer, but I want us practicing keeping our negative signs in the numerator. That is not correct. Let me erase that real quick. Keeping the negative sign in the numerator. Okay? So instead of having negative in the denominator, we just move it up to the numerator. Same exact value, but we want to try this one as opposed to having it in the denominator. Now we can find slope on a graph, which is much easier. We start on the point on the left, right? And we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we do the rise first. The rise is the up and down. starting on the left. So we go up 6. I'm going to write that down. That's our numerator. And then our run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our slope here is 6/5. Much easier with a graph than it is with this, but you need to know both methods. Okay, let's erase all that. Linear equations. Now let's throw all of it together. Linear equations in slope-intercept form. We have some equations, example equations over here that are in linear form. And a linear function or a linear equation is an equation that can be written in slope-intercept form and whose graph is a line. More specifically, a straight line, much like this. And again, we have our slope-intercept form. Now, slope-intercept form is called slope-intercept form because you can visibly see the slope, that's m, and the y-intercept, that's b. A y-intercept is the point that the line crosses the y-axis, the point that it intercepts the y-axis. So, looking at these graphs right here, we should be able to visualize the y-intercept. This y-intercept right here is the point 0 for the x value, it's 0. For the y value, it's -2. This one here, the y-intercept, is going to be 0 again for the x value and -3 for the y because it crosses the y-axis at -3. Now this one right here is going to be 0 for the x, y-intercepts, always 0 for the x, right? And the y value is 3. And last one, we have 0, 1, because it crosses at 1 on the y-axis. Okay. Now, using these same examples, we're going to see if we can find our equation in slope-intercept form. Well, we need two things for our equation. We need our slope and our y-intercept. As we decided before, our y-intercept here would be -2. That's easy enough. Just visualize it. Now, we have a solid point. We need to pick one more solid point. And a solid point happens at an intersection, right at the intersection. And it looks like our best one's going to be this one right here. Now, starting on the left, we are going to rise or go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 down is our slope, is 4 over, and then we do our run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But because we went down 4, it's -4 over 6, a negative slope. Okay. Now we can throw all this together in our slope-intercept form with y equals negative. But should we write 4/3? No, we practiced our simplifying, right? So it should be -2/3. -2/3 x minus 2. And that's it. Now, looking, I'm going to erase that, give myself some room. Looking at our second problem here, we have our slope. Because it's a horizontal line, our slope is 0. And our y-intercept is -3. Now, this is a unique situation because when we plug in to slope-intercept form, we have a 0 as our slope, then our x, and then our b, or our y-intercept. But we know 0x is really the same as 0 times x. And when you multiply anything by 0, you get 0. So this ends up canceling out, leaving us just y equals -3. Very unique situation. Okay. Looking at our next problem, we're going to do one more together. We have a slope of, we have a point here and a point here. We're going to go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a rise of +1 because we went up, and a run of 5. Okay. Now our b value is going to be 3. That's where it hits the y-intercept right here is 3. So that gives us y equals 1/3 x plus 3. Not 1/3, I apologize. Not 1/3. 1/5 is the slope. 1/5 is our m value right here, right there. Okay, and now we need to practice graphing. Now that we've learned how to find equations from graphs, now we need to learn how to graph them ourselves. So first, just like we started with our finding equations, we're going to start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 2. So I'm going to make a point there, okay? Now we can deal with the slope. The slope is 3 over 5. 3, positive 3, tells us we should go up, or rise. And 5 tells us our run. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to make a dot here, but I am going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all we need for a graph is 2 points. Ooh, my mouse kind of messed up there on the straight line. Okay, so that is our first graph. Now, looking at number 2, we see negative x. So what does that mean our slope is? Well, we can put a 1 right here between the x and the negative. And if we want a fraction, we can do 1 over 1. So this tells us to go down 1 and then to the right 1. So starting at 3, which is our, let's change colors on this real quick. We'll do it red. We're going to start at our y-intercept. When you make this dot, please don't go back down here. A lot of students tend to make the dot and then go back down here. Do not do that, okay? So 3, then I'm going to go down 1 because that is our rise right here is negative 1, and then over 1. We only need 2 points to make a line, but we'll make a couple more points. You can just keep on making points forever like this. Down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1. And sure enough, we have our line. Okay, and that'll be today's lesson. If you have any questions, as always, email me and keep up with your homework this week. You need to take a picture of the homework I gave you and then also complete your Delta Math. There will be no quiz this week because we're preparing for our test next week. Thank you very much.